Hello and welcome to a Better Business Podcast. My name is Alexi, and today I want to talk to you about systemizing a tradie's business. Systemizing a tradie's business is quite an interesting topic because we work with quite a few tradies, and we occasionally get a whole bunch of questions coming in relation to, where do you get started? Well, before we jump into that, let's have a look into, the basics of systemization. So first of all, you know, why am I talking about this topic? Well, my name is Alexei. I've been in this digital marketing / business growth for nearly 18 years now. My agency is called USE, short for Your Easy Web Solutions. We've been working with a lot of trades businesses, starting with all the web side of things and quickly realizing it's really more about lead generation, conversion, and then growing the business, which is what we do right now. So why do you systemize a trades business and where do you get started? Well, first of all, systemization is a process of being able to simplify areas of your business where you are really aiming to scale. And a lot of people really get stuck in the whole idea as to why. And I think it's really important to understand the why behind every single activity before you spend any time on the whole thing. So you're trying to scale the business. And at the moment, most likely, it's just yourself or maybe yourself and somebody else. And it's really difficult to do any more than you're already doing. You may be on the tools a lot of the time. And if you're on the tools, you don't really have any other time to commit to anything else. Well, if that sounds familiar, I've got a few things here for you. So first of all, in terms of the goal, you're really trying to get flow. So you really want things to flow within your business without you being, engaged specifically for each particular task. So really, to easier look at this is where, if you really want to get away for a holiday without the whole business stopping or potentially going, south, you really want to make sure that all the processes are in place. So you really got to start with processes. So what processes are we talking about? There's obviously lots of different things. And I can see that a lot of people are very much inclined to jump into marketing when it's about trades businesses specifically. So people want to get a lot more leads. Business owners are looking for new customers and whatnot. And a lot of the time, that's not really the problem. The problem is really more to do with the operations. And just to clarify, there are 4 distinct areas in your business. It's obviously marketing, sales, operations, and accounting. You can obviously expand on those things a lot more, but if we simplify it into those 4 areas, the first thing I personally think that you got to really systemize and create processes around is your operations. So this is how you deal with the work that's actually coming in. And if you're able to identify a lot of these bottlenecks, that would be the starting point to systemize. So for example, scheduling a job. Once you've got the customer on board and the customer has agreed to certain terms, how do you communicate with your team to get them all, into that specific job in terms of the actual location, to bring all the right tools and systemize everything? This is where I find a lot of tradies spend a lot of time trying to text and call all the employees or contractors just to organize everything. And essentially, it's really about breaking things down into, okay, who is the client? What's the actual address of the job? What's the scope of work? Who's assigned to manage this particular job? What's the sequence of processes? And, are there any photos or anything that may help, or potentially documents like the initial quote? So if you're able to systemize that, that's already a huge jump. And look, you may be a bit further ahead than the rest of the businesses, but I find that a lot of tradies don't even use a calendar. I mean, a Google Calendar could be a very simple tool for you to orchestrate that and share a particular job with everybody on their team, where you don't need to speak to those customers. You don't need to speak to those contractors or employees. They will all see that particular job in their calendar. An even better way to go is to invest into some workflow software like ServiceMate or Tradie. There's a whole bunch of tools out there. But really, the idea is to minimize the communication that's required for specific simple tasks like that. Now, that is one of the examples. Another example could be, invoicing a client for a completed job. And what happens many times is that the customer doesn't pay on time based on a number of different things that just haven't been communicated very well. And this is where you could use systems that could actually help you communicate with the customer, send an email or send an SMS after a certain activity. But then you got to make sure that you got processes laid out specifically for your team to finalize the job. There's nothing worse than the job being done where the place ends up being messy. So if the work area is not really cleaned up properly, a lot of customers, particularly women, don't like that. So if that sounds familiar, you may want to put a process in place to start a job and finalize a job. And it's these little things that really will save you a lot of stress. But most importantly, I think what you're really aiming for is that flow of being able to start a job, do the job, complete the job, and most importantly, get paid on time. That's the essence of the whole thing. So hopefully that rings the bell. I think overall, if you're not sure where to get started, because there could be just so many areas for you to improve, just you got to start with a gap analysis and understand where are you lacking the flow the most. And for some business owners, it could be fairly straightforward. For others, this takes a little bit of time. I mean, just go through these 4 areas: marketing, sales, operations, accounting. And I think start from the from the latter with the accounting. Are you spending a lot of time sending out invoices or following people up? If that's a problem, I would recommend putting some processes in place, because a lot of the time it could either be engaging someone to outsource it or put actual automation in place to be able to get that done. Now, if you want to automate anything or systemize anything for that matter, please start with a process. What does it look like? Is there a particular sequence of steps? Because the way you need to look at it is, if you are delegating this particular job to someone who you trust, and you want them to follow that exactly as it is. Now, if you're finding that you don't have those set processes and you do things on the fly very differently, well, that's a huge scalability problem within itself. And I know some people like to really tailor things for some people, but as humans, we often struggle to be in the zone to do something. So the issue is, you can't be in the zone to do selling and then accounting and then talking to people. Like, each single time, you will find that you will struggle to transition from one state of mind to another, and it just takes a little bit of time for you to get in the zone. Hopefully that makes sense. But I guess if you're able to start there, I think it'll be a lot easier for you then to implement actual systems, like things like ServiceMate, for example. Because I do meet a lot of tradies that be like, I've looked into it, it's expensive, it doesn't quite work for me, I didn't have the time to do it. Well, if the time is the issue, I guess that's the first thing you got to address. If the flow is compromised by time, then I think what you really need to do is assess your time management and see exactly where your time goes. Are you spending way too much time talking to your team, trying to organize them? Are you spending too much time chasing debtors? Are you, spending too much time trying to fiddle with your own marketing? It could be a lot of different things. At the end of the day, I think you got to be really clear about what you're trying to achieve. And if you're very good at, let's say, roofing or potentially, creating a certain outcome for people, and you want to do more of that, that should be the essence of the business. And everything else, you either systemize or outsource. Systems and people. These are the 2 ways you grow a business. Look, it's not that simple sometimes. Rome wasn't built in a day, but in a lot of sense, it is. It's really more about simplifying as opposed to making things super complex. Hopefully this provides you some guidance and insights specifically as to what you could do. But whether you're running a roofing, a construction business, or plumbing, things can really be turned into processes, systemized, and then potentially be delegated, which is exactly what you're trying to do. Your job is to work on the business as opposed to in the business. If you've created yourself a job, that's not really a business. That's still a job. So if you're working crazy hours, guys, I highly recommend you look into ways to systemize your business. I wanted to provide my own insights. If you've got other ideas to share, or if you want to ask a question, please do so via the comments below. Otherwise, it'd be interesting to see if you got anything out of this podcast, and if you need any practical insights about implementing a system in your business, hit me up. I'd love to have a chat. Anyway, my name is Alexei. This is Better Business Podcast. And make sure you subscribe and share with your friends, and I'll chat to you soon.